Okay, it is 10:03. I'm going to go ahead and get started and let's get this kicked off. We got an hour to go through what's new in ITOM Visibility and Cloud Accelerate. So we're going to be going over the Q4 release, which was a store release of ITOM Visibility and Cloud Accelerate, which was last Thursday. Uh, just wanted to let you know is, we have webinars on a regular basis and meetups, and you can scan the schedule here. And I don't have here, let me paste this in the chat here so I can get this so you can go down and also scan this in the chat. Here's the link. Yeah, so we've got regularly scheduled, generally once a month, these webinars and meetups. So you can either, scan, and I forgot to put in the HTTPS there. I apologize, I didn't copy perfectly. But we've got, regularly scheduled events. They're posted out on the community site. You can also scan that QR code. So just a little housekeeping, everybody's line's muted. Please use the Q&A feature to ask any questions throughout the session. This will be recorded and we're posting it out on the community site with the deck afterwards. So the video and the deck will be available. And then after the session ends, if you could please fill out a quick survey. We appreciate your feedback and it'll help us improve these. And, if you have any ideas for what you want to see in the future, that'd be great. Okay, so who am I? My name is Derek Kitzman. I'm a staff outbound product manager. I'm part of the ITOM business unit, and my responsibilities are around ITOM visibility and cloud accelerate. Uh, been with ServiceNow for around almost 7 years. I was an SC before I started my outbound product management role in July. And prior to that, I was a customer where I was responsible for configuration management, discovery, service mapping, etc. So just I don't plan on mentioning any forward-looking statements, but this is really about covering what we released in the store last week for our Q4 release for ITOM Visibility and Cloud Accelerate. But if there are any questions around future capabilities, just understand that any forward-looking statements are subject to change. Don't make any investment or purchasing decisions based off of that. All right, so let's jump right in. Let's talk about what's new in ITOM visibility for the Q4 2024 release. For a quick agenda, we'll go over, just a overview of the product evolution and our, updates throughout the last couple of releases. Overview of major new features and enhancements, overview of minor new features, enhancements, and demos and fact sheets on those enhancements. So, just the visibility over, time, we're pushing these releases out on a quarterly basis, right? So per each family release, we generally have two releases. So a lot of new content that we pushed out. Instant service mapping from any CMDB source. So that means, if you can get process data and TCP data from Service Graph connectors, you don't need a mid server anymore to go out and create those maps. And one of the things we'll talk about in the Q4 release is actually using the ITOM content services data for those application fingerprints for enterprise applications to make the service mapping experience much more understandable when you're using ML-based service mapping and service mapping plus for those enterprise applications. I've got some pretty other cool stuff around certificate management, Oracle Glass, Discovery Admin Workspace, and some new patterns. So yeah, for the Discovery Admin Workspace, we've got two minor enhancements. So the IP schedule creation. So that's a nice little guided setup to walk you through, setting up those IP-based discovery schedules, all around increased productivity and ease of schedule creation. And the wow factor, something very cool about that is, you know, now you get a visual representation of that kind of daisy chain discovery schedules, that hierarchical view, right? So really help you, discovery admin set up those discovery schedules, and see a visual representation of that daisy chain. We've added, expanded the support tools. So we've added around 6 or 7 new support tools under the diagnostics tab in the Discovery Admin's workspace. So a lot of new features or existing features that we brought into the Discovery Admin workspace to really streamline what that Discovery Admin can get accomplished without having to, swivel chair, so to speak, between the left nav, right? Um, for Service Mapping Plus, I kind of brought this up, but uh, the ability to use application fingerprints, from the ITOM content services to quickly view those suggested maps and be able to, you know, understand, hey, this process group is for this enterprise application. So it makes filtering through and understanding, the information a little bit easier for those enterprise applications, those commercially off-the-shelf applications. Something pretty cool that we've come out with is the Cloud License Estimator. This is an Innovation Lab release. Um, this is capabilities around being able to, let's say you're, onboarding a new cloud account, and you want to understand what the impact is on your ITOM SU licensing. You can actually, prior to kicking off discovery for that particular account or subscription or project, et cetera, you can actually use the Cloud License Estimator to be able to understand what the potential SU impact. And if you're not an ITOM customer, you can actually use this application to understand how many SUs you may need, to purchase to be able to, just to kind of estimate how many of those resources under those cloud accounts would be consumable from an ITOM subscription, and understand what the ratio is, so you can easily come up with an understanding of how many SUs you would need to purchase from a cloud perspective. We've got a couple new patterns. So we've got the Fortinet VDOM, and then that new pattern to discover the physical and virtual Fortinet firewalls. We also now have support for discovering AWS resources in the China region. And then we also have some capabilities around discovering Azure Marketplace. So, products that are deployed via Azure Marketplace, whether those are application SaaS or virtual machines. From a certificate inventory and management perspective, we've got a new feature that allows you to generate signer requests. Those signer their CSR, certificate signer requests. Prior to this enhancement, you actually had to come with a CSR. So now on that catalog item, we have the option to actually generate that CSR, which will also spawn a private key that you can store in your key vault. From an Oracle Glass perspective, we now support Oracle Java verification. So we're discovering those Oracle Java installations, and you can export that, and that has been certified by Oracle. All right, so let's kind of talk about the Discovery Admin Workspace. So, like I mentioned, that guided setup of walking through and being able to set up your discoveries, choose what mid server, and then options for run on demand, run at a scheduled time, and then run after series. So daisy chaining those together, and you can actually get a graphical representation of how your discovery schedules are chained together. And then, next is on, the, um, the Discovery Admin Workspace. We got quite a few new tools under the support tools: pattern customization check, IRE payload explorer, discovery customization report, skip files from updates, store updates, command validation task, missing SNMP OID, missing IP schedules, and SA command manager. And I'll jump into a demo here in a second. So yeah, when we think about, why we added this, Discovery Admins want ServiceNow to deliver more capabilities in the workspace experience. They want an ease of, visual scheduling and, more support tools, right? And when we think about, those support tools, right, is giving you the ability to test things out and troubleshoot when there are challenges. And, with the hopes is that you don't have to go to support to open up a ticket. You already, have some of those tool sets to be able to troubleshoot on your own or test things out before you make any changes. This, who's interested, this would be Discovery admins, CMDB admins, platform owners. To activate these new capabilities, you just need to get the November release of the Discovery Admin Workspace app. Um, from a technical perspective, it is, Xanadu or Washington Patch 5 as a prerequisite, as we've seen in previous discussions around the Discovery Admin Workspace. And this is really, from a licensing implication, regardless of what product or SKU that you're using, if you have the ability to run discovery in your production environment, you have access to the Discovery Admin Workspace and these new features. And, the before and after is just, not being able to see a hierarchical view of the discovery schedules. And then, having to go to the left nav from the Discovery Admin Workspace to be able to execute things like command validation tools. And, we've added some additional things, right? So now it's just being able to visually review your discovery schedules in a graphical representation and access to those tools. So let's come in here. Looks like I logged out. I apologize. Let me get logged back in. Mike asked a question. Is there a way to view the entirety of the schedules through this amazing view? I'm not sure I understand fully the question, Mike, but let me demo it and maybe that will help me understand here. I apologize for the spin in here. Yeah, and someone just posted, where can you find the recordings of the session? And that's going to be out on the event here. And let me just update the HTTP. So here's where you can find the recordings afterwards. Okay, so we're back here to the Discovery Admin Workspace. I'm going to go into schedules. And we've got that graphical representation of the discovery schedules here. And now I can come in here, I can create a new discovery schedule. And let's see here. I'm just going to give it a name, LOSIN webinar. I'll give it a location here. So let's just do Powell Street here. And now you can either enter in a new IP range or, choose from an existing range. So let's, yeah, let's just use one of or let's do this. Management is a little bit better because we get to see more of the tree here. I go next. So now you can, select, what mid servers you want to use, right? So we can use the Crucible mid server, come here to select. Now we've got run on demand, run after schedule time, or run after series. And now here, if we pick our series here, right? Now we've come down here and we can see a graphical representation of the different schedules here, right? And then one of the things that's cool here is, you can do insert after or add as a new branch, right? So you can change things, and once you get to that graphical representation, and then you can go ahead and just hit finish here and save. Now, one of the things, and this is where I say forward-looking statement, one of the things that we didn't have time to implement is when you come into the discovery schedule, you can see that graphical representation. The plan for we just didn't have enough time to implement that. So the idea here is that in the Q1 release, we'll have that ability to come in here and have an additional tab up here so you can get at that graphical view of how those discovery schedules are daisy chained together. Yeah, Mike, and yeah, I just answered that. Yeah, that's something that's coming hopefully in Q1, right? See, Josh, can you select the run behavior as well on the mid server selection? That's a good question here. I don't know if we have run behavior supported here. Let's do another LOSIN webinar 2 or 3, 2. Let's do the San Diego. Right. So let's see. Let's do Aquila. Yeah, I don't see any capabilities to be able to do that run behavior. Can you select run behavior as well? Yeah, I'll have to check with the inbound product management and see if that is something that we have supported or plans to do in the future, Josh. And then, okay, answered his question. Great, awesome. Okay, so yeah, that's the discovery schedule here. Now let's look at the diagnostics. So I'm going to come over here to the diagnostics tab. That's where the support tools are located. So if I come over here, I've got diagnostics, case management, support tools here. This is where I see the addition. So when we first came out with the diagnostics, that was Q3. It was first just Content 360 for the Discovery Admin Workspace. That was, I believe, Q1. And then Q3, we came out with the additional capabilities in the Discovery Admin Workspace in the Q3 release. And for the Q4, so besides that visual representation of the discovery schedules at creation, now we have, this pattern customization check. So you can run a test to see if your customization is going to break the pattern, right? The IRE payload explorer here. You can come in here and you can select something from the queue, and then run an IRE simulation and actually see what it's going to look like from a graphical representation and see the different steps of the payload items. If you wanted to, basically enter your own JSON, you could come in here and paste that and see this same thing. What would it look like when the IRE processes that, right? And, if you're having any issues with the payload, you can come in here and either select it from the queue or, copy that payload and paste it in and figure out exactly where that error is, right? So another cool thing, discovery customization report. So this is just a report that'll detect if there's any patterns or sensors or anything like that have been customized. So that's also really cool. Skip files from store updates. This is really just kind of like that platform upgrade. If there are any customizations where it may have been skipped, you can see where there was like a pattern that was skipped due to an upgrade. Command validation. So that's actually being able to come in and either, um, you know, execute a test of a command against a target, right? Oops, I picked the wrong one here. Let me delete that. So yeah, I can pick a mid server here, and then I can say, I want to validate all the commands in a given pattern, right? And then I can choose that here, and then come in and choose a web server, and then come in here and enter in an IP address, and then enter in the pattern here that I want to test, and it'll go ahead and test that whole pattern, all the different commands against that pattern. And that will help you understand, hey, do I have any maybe sudo commands that are failing? Something like that, right? And that way you can go back to your Linux engineers, let's say, and work through those different commands and make sure that that sudo file gets updated, right? So very cool from a command validation. This existed beforehand to where you could test those commands or patterns, but they were, um, they're in the left nav. Another thing here is, like, if you've ever done service mapping, right? And you want to use SA Command Manager, if you didn't know the web context to add on to the URL, you had to go out, and in my service mapping engagements as a customer and as an SC, trying to figure out, oh, what is the context for that? I always had to go out and search for it. Now you can actually kick off, enter in an IP and get into your terminal session, straight from there without having to go out and search for it. So easily accessible. Another thing, missing SNMPO ID data, right? You can find out where you're having challenges for discovering, SNMP related devices, by clicking on that report. So very cool here. I see a few people that have raised hands. If you can please post your uh, questions in the Q&A, I can get them answered here. Okay, next feature. I don't see these new tools apart from CIP to patterns and others not our. I don't see these new tools apart from CPI to pad. Yeah. So if you're not seeing those in your particular instance, you'll just need to work with your platform administrator to get the November release installed in your instance, right? Because those support tools, it sounds like what you can see is just from the Q3 release. So you need to get the Q4 release installed in your instance. Okay, so next one that we're want to review with you really quick, and unfortunately, I don't have a demo environment for this. My environment got shut down, and I tried to bring it back up this morning, and I didn't have time to do it. But I've got some cool screenshots in here that'll really get a good understanding of what's going on with this. So from Service Mapping Plus, right? We're using the ML capabilities from predictive intelligence to go out and analyze process data and TCP data and present back a list of candidates, right? Now what we've heard from customers are a couple things. One, hey, I need to be able to map services that are coming in from different sources. So that's where we support that mid-list, data from any source in the CMDB to be able to map out those services for data coming in from service graph connectors that support pulling in process data and TCP data. Another thing is, when I go out and I look at these application service suggestions, I don't know what these processes support. I don't know what they mean. I don't know who to reach out to. So very challenging to filter through that list of suggested candidates for application services to understand, who you need to reach out with, right? So what we've done is we've taken that content, the ITOM content service. So that's the ability to opt in to send your um, process, running process information over to the ServiceNow ITOM content services team. They do research on those process names, and then, let's say it's, for SAP business objects, or, Microsoft Exchange, Tableau, etc., right? They go out and they do the research. They say, oh, this process is part of this enterprise application. And then they, provide those application fingerprints back. And then what they're also doing is, using those service fingerprints as well to group those processes together. And then what we're doing is we're marrying that to the ML Power candidates. And you have a new tab here that allows you to understand, hey, here are the service fingerprints for those enterprise applications, and then you can understand, oh, this is part of the Firebird SQL, or Microsoft Exchange or SAP business objects, and then you know who to reach out to, and you understand what those process grouping means. So a much more frictionless a way of doing some service mapping. Granted, this is for enterprise applications and not all applications. Your custom built applications, you'll still need to work out of the application service fingerprint suggestions. So let's just, why we added it, just the ability to create service maps for enterprise applications in a more frictionless manner. Who should be interested? Service mapping admins, CMDB admins, and then platform owners. You need to install the November release of the Service Mapping Plus, and then the November release of the ITOM content services. Xanadu is a prerequisite, and one of the things I just wanted to call out is service fingerprints are based off of process data only, right? So when you opt in to send or to push data to our content services, it is only process data. We do not, it's not TCP data. That is considered sensitive data because it has IP address information, and we do not. That is so. So if you walk through the opt-in process inside of the Discovery Admin workspace, it is only the process data and missing SNMP data that would be sent to the ITOM content services, not your TCP data, right? And once we push out those service fingerprints, that's where we marry it with the ML candidates based off of TCP connectivity, right? So from a licensing implication, this is including an ITOM visibility. So just, before struggling with interpreting the ML-based candidates and unrealized value due to lack of business context. And then afterwards, the ability to understand what the process groups mean for enterprise applications, and that organizations, can map, services better and get more, better content here. So just what does the architecture look like? So, we're using discovery and agent client collector data, service graph connector data, generating those ML-based clusters, and then overlaying service fingerprints on those clusters for those enterprise applications, so you can get your service maps quicker. So, just a quick kind of what does it look like here? So, you go into workspace, you go into service mapping, and then you come over here, and then you click on the ML Power candidates, right? And then from here, you've got the service fingerprints. You can expand a group for this one for like Microsoft Exchange. And, if you'll notice here, right, you've got some that are very similar, right? And really the ML doesn't really understand the difference between like a QA, a production, and a development environment, and that's why you may see processes with the same groupings, right? That's just most likely in a different environment. So from once you select, you can either preview the map or map the application. You can either create a new service or add it to an existing service, give it a name. You can see the details if you want to expand there, and then you click map service, and that will actually map the service. And then you can come on here after you say it's been mapped. And there you go. You got your application service map. Once again, recordings are going to be available. You can see the link in the chat. You can go out and see those recordings here. Jonas, you were able to run it on patch 5, not Xanadu. Okay, perfect. I'll make sure that I update the. I was pretty sure it was Xanadu, but that's great if you were able to get it running on patch 5 of Washington. Um, let's see, regarding the ITOM content service opt-in, any detailed documentation available in case clients want to know what exactly goes in there, since there could be questions around data sharing and restriction. Yeah, I believe there's a knowledge article on the um, there's a knowledge article. So yeah, uh, in the recording, or in the uh, uh, when we publish this out, I'll see if I can't get the update for where that is stored. I'll actually add it to the presentation. Okay. All right, next, Oracle Glass data collection for licensing and advisory. I just posted out that link again where you can see uh, uh, the community recording and stuff like that. So now with the Oracle data collection, we now support Java audits. So we're going out, we're getting those Java installation details via pattern and populating the CMDB. And you can go see that under the Java audits. And then, of course, you have the ability to export those, right? So, there's been some changes around Oracle licensing. And we added that one because it was one of the most popular requests on the IDEA portal, and just helping customers be able to be Oracle audit ready for more than just databases and middleware. So now we support Java. So who should be interested? Discovery administrators, software asset managers. Just install the November release of the data collection and licensing, and just get the latest version of the patterns. This is included with any bundle that includes discovery. So if you're doing discovery, you get access to this. So beforehand, we were only doing data collection reporting for Oracle databases and middleware, and now we're actually supporting that for Java installations as well. So if we come in here, we go into a new instance here. I've got it marked as my favorites. So I come in here, I can see the Java audits here. So we've got those, what operating system, environment type, what the release build version is, installation path, when it was installed, what the processor model, sockets and cores, is it open source or not, and where the host is, right? So capturing all those details. And then when you come in here to download the data collection, you can click on the download and actually get that glass report. And you've got those details there to where now you can share that with your auditors. All right. Next is certificate inventory management, the certificate signer request. So on catalog, the out-of-the-box catalog items, prior to the November release, requesters had to come with a CSR. So now we've got this new capability. I want to generate a CSR, right? So now requesters can actually say, I want to generate a CSR. They enter in common name, alternative name, etc., and then click generate, and we'll actually generate the CSR and a private key. That private key must be retrieved from the instance and secured in a secure location, right? We do not store that private key. So, organizations want ServiceNow, just requesters to be able to, submit a request without having to, get a CSR prior to that, right? We've streamlined it. who should be interested, certificate administrators, requesters, platform, system admin, network analysts, security analysts, CMDB admin, PKI team. How do you activate it? Get the November release of the Certificate Inventory and Management Store app. And then you do need to set this SN Disco Cert Management Enable CSR Generation property to true. This is included in ITOM visibility V1 and V2. Prior to the November release, requesters had to have a CSR before submitting a request, and this created some challenges. Now they can generate a CSR and a private key on the catalog item, making it easier for those who don't have that CSR. So what does it look like? Well, first, we want to make sure that we enable this property, set it to true, right? And then when you come in to request a new cert, you click on, I want to generate a CSR, and then fill out the information here and click on the generate. You'll notice that when you click, I want to generate, these fields become active and the CSR request field becomes deactive, all right? So then the user can enter in the details here and then click generate CSR. That actually generates the CSR, and it also generates the private key, which then needs to be downloaded and stored in a secure location. All right, next we have, I think I'm doing a good on time here. We have the Cloud License Estimator. So this is Innovation Lab release. And really, why we came up with this is we really want to make it easy to estimate licensable and understand what is licensable and what is non-licensable from a resource account under cloud accounts. And then, being able to understand what that if you're going to go out and discover a new cloud environment, what is that impact going to be to your SU account, right? And right now we're supporting AWS Master Account and Azure Management Group, for quick time to value. So just making it easier to estimate what your SU consumption will be. Who would be interested: business users, admins, platform owners, and then cloud COE, admin, engineer, infrastructure teams, right? To be able to understand, hey, we want to discover this new cloud environment, need to get credentials. This is what the impact is going to be, right? So from a technical perspective, it is for the Innovation Lab release. It does support AWS and Azure cloud providers. We do support the management account and and then support AWS credentialless account setup. You need to use an associated master account and or an accessor account with an account ID, and it is midless, so you don't need mid server because we're not executing patterns. We're really just calling an API in the config service and just getting accounts. We're not doing deep level discovery. So this is Innovation Lab. There are no licensing implications for this because it's really just getting an estimate for what the SU consumption would be. And then what we're doing for the Q1 releases, this will actually be included. It won't be a separate app that you'll need to download. It'll actually be a part of the ITOM licensing app. But you still won't need to, we won't do deep level discovery, right? It's really just getting an estimate. So prior to this release, it was tedious, especially, if you were, planning on purchasing ITOM. You didn't understand, you had to work with multiple cloud account owners to get estimates, and then which resources are licensable and which are not, right? So it was very challenging, and we've just really kind of simplified that process and made it easier for you to be able to get an estimate on usage, right? Let's see. I got any question here. Any plans to expand CLE to support GCP cloud? Uh, yeah, there are plans. I don't know exactly when. I don't think it'll be the GA release in Q1. I think it'll be probably around, Q2 or Q3 of next year when we start support GCP, but I'm not exactly sure yet. Okay. So what does this look like? We do need credentials, so just need to add a record into the credential table here. And then, when you come to the cloud, you go in, put on the left nav, search cloud, license estimator home, click on the home, and then, you can create a configuration. Uh, and then for each configuration, you can get access to the relevant data. So account ID, cloud provider, status, last run, checked whether it's related to a management group or not, right? And then when you're actually creating the config, you just give it a name, choose a provider, put the account ID, identify if it's a management account or not, and then do the credentials, and then you add the details here. Um, uh, yeah, so here's what it looks like there for AWS. And then once you've actually executed it, you've got the report to where you can, see the provider, all those necessary details, see that it was validated, and then get a resource count, right? And then show you how many are actually, how many resources were found and what it would be the chargeable resources. And then most importantly, you can download that report. And then what does that report look like? It just gives you a breakdown of what your counts are, and then you can see at which level what those particular accounts would be for those resource groups. And it also gives you a ratio of what that would be. All right. So let's pivot, and that was it for what's new in the store release for visibility. Let's pivot over to Cloud Accelerate. Similar, so we've, just talking about what we're doing so far, how we're rapidly innovating with product. Yeah, and I see some raised hands. If you could please put your questions in the Q&A. I can answer those either live or respond to them via text. So yeah, for Yokohama, we've got one major innovation for that is really it's the Cloud Account Management Innovation 3 V3 release, right? So got some new things that we're supporting here. Let's jump in and see what those are. So, CAM, Cloud Account Management, is a centralized tool that enables organizations to better manage cloud accounts, right? So it's a streamlined workflow to be able to request those accounts, get those approved, and then get those provisioned, ensuring that policies are strictly followed, right? So it's really, trying to making sure you've got owners identified, avoiding cost overruns by setting quotas, and then ensuring that you've got, policies associated so you can minimize your risk exposure. And really, the wow factor is just that single pane of glass, right? One of the things I didn't talk about any end of life and visibility, but we do have some end of life from a cloud accelerate perspective, right? So the Google Cloud connector, that app will no longer be available for download in the Yokohama release, and we will have it end of support in the Zurich release. So if you're currently using this, it will be into support in Zurich, right? And really, we see the impact as being limited. I don't know if there's really anybody that's leveraging this to provision Google Cloud resources, right? Um, so yeah, that's coming up from end of life, right? So from a cloud account creation and management, generally painful, right? There's a lack of control because the only way customers are creating accounts is through the portal. There's no process around the lack of ownership of that creation process. Lack of customization when needs, lack of business awareness, right? So, you know, that impact is, long provisioning times. It could take weeks to get a cloud account, or, you don't really, the impact could be that people are just cowboying it up and getting a credit card and going out and opening their own accounts, right? And then, issue with uh, cost overruns, right? So, there's no, when they create those accounts, there's no budget set and there's nobody tracking to make sure that they're staying within budget, and then if it takes a long time for these cloud accounts to get created and start being able to provision resources, you got reduced productivity. And if you're not, implementing policies ahead of time, you have the potential of exposing yourself to risk, right? So when we think about the V2 or the V3 release for Innovation Lab, right? It's really around, how are we simplifying that management? Um, you know, uh, leveraging detailed insights and billing information to manage any account. So, for this initial release, we're supporting that account creation for AWS, but you know, you can still manage other providers, whether they're Azure, AWS, GCP, et cetera, and have policy-driven workflows around provisioning and managing new cloud accounts for AWS, and then that unified dedicated workspace for a tailored experience, right? So why did we add it? Lack of process, unmanaged accounts result in cost overruns and lack of ownership, just a tedious process, not streamlined. It impacts user productivity. Who should be interested? Your CCOE, right? Your Cloud Center of Excellence teams, cloud infrastructure teams, cloud ops teams, account requesters, account provisioners and managers, and your FinOps teams, right? How do you activate it? You get the November release, the November 2024 release of the Innovation Lab of Cloud Account Management. Um, from a technical perspective, it supports AWS from a creation. Um, and this requires either Terraform Cloud or Terraform Enterprise. We do have future plans to support like AWS Control Tower or even Ansible, but right now it's Terraform Cloud or Terraform Enterprise that you need to be able to provision this, because we are using Terraform templates to provision these cloud accounts. For suspension and reactivation, this we're actually calling cloud native APIs to do this, and we've got more technical details around setup, permissions, et cetera, on a community blog, which you'll be able to access when we share out this recording on the community site. This is Innovation Lab release. So right now that there are no licensing implementations, but it does only it's only supported in non-production instances. Any pricing and packaging implications will be announced when we do the GA release. And one of the things that it does require is an ITOM visibility entitlement. So organizations have unmanaged cloud accounts that lack ownership and increase costs, tedious experience when requesting a new cloud account, and lack of process, right? Now we have some governance, with cloud account management. You've got governance around it with defined processes, policy-driven workflows around account provisioning, and reduce cost overruns and increase productivity. So when we think about the cloud account management journey, right? It's that inventory creation. So it's like crawl is getting accounts created, visualization with key insights around billing, right? And then ownership definition. We think about walk. It's really around account management via suspension and reactivation. And then account configuration audits via automated configuration checks. And then that run is really that streamlined request experience via centralized portal and provisioning automation with policy-driven workflows, right? So the new features in cloud account innovation. So the requester experience, right? So it's streamlined requester experience, the approver experience, and then the provisioner experience, right? Being able to easily see so that's kind of V1 of what we implemented. For V2, the admin experience, we've got a streamlined ad experience. We've added in V2, we added accounts suspension and reactivation, and then a subscription account dashboard overview, and then the certifier experience, right? So being able to certify, cloud accounts that they're still needed, et cetera, right? For V3, what we've added is a new overview dashboard with integration into cloud configuration management. Right? So you can see those policies that are set up in cloud configuration management. And then cloud account policy checks, right? So making sure that policies are run, those checks are run, and then using policy as code engine for integration. So being able to use the policy as code to generate those. So when we think about the architecture, right, being able to visualize, you're going to run cloud discovery, populate the CMDB. If you've got cloud cost management, we've got that integration so you can see cost, right? And then being able to run that certification. And that's right now supported for AWS, Azure, and GCP. So being able to run certification on those accounts and regularly validate that they're still needed, the owner's right, et cetera. So with the configuration checks, right, we'll look for violations, and those are based off of those policies and cloud configuration governance. And then for a suspension or reactivation, we're using policy as code and playbooks and using native API call to reactivate or suspend. And then from a provisioning perspective, also using policy as code engine in playbooks, and then using Terraform to be able to have Terraform provision those. Let me go back a screen. Let's go ahead and let's jump in and what does it look like, right? So we come in here. Things that we've added is the overview dashboard now. So now you can come in here and look at the dashboard, overview. I can see how many critical severity accounts that I have, any high severity, any accounts that are suspended, and then how many accounts are due for certification, right? So validating here. So like if I wanted to come in here, click on critical and apply. Now I can actually jump in here and I can see what policies actually failed here. So I see here that there's a certification status that's pending, an owner tag is missing, and I see that there hasn't been a discovery schedule created for this, right? So policies that are created in the system. And if I go in here and I look at those policy, policy sets, right, from cloud configuration governance. We've now integrated these policy sets into the platform. So here's a CAM AWS policy, et cetera, right? So you can actually see the details of, and I'll just click here and see which one of those policies are supported. And there, if I unlock here. So count alias, pending certification, failed certification, strong password policy, custom password policy, discovery schedule policy, and owner policy. So these are policies that come out of the box, but then you can also create your own and associate them to the AWS policy set. So when we go in and we run a validation, you can see where there's failures based off of your policies. All right, come back in here to cloud account management. And then if we, look at that, those policies, you can also see, other policy names here, and, see how they're, what they're, if how, create new and activate and things like that. So I'm right about time. Let's go ahead and just, come back here. If there any, just to let you know, we will the recording and the presentation for this webinar is going to be out on the community. So if you just go to community ITOM events, you can see that there. And if you want to scan this, you can get to there. And just if you want to watch any other, oops, if you, sorry. If you want to see any of the other ones, you can either scan this QR code or you can, click on this link here, and that'll be, I'll get out of sharing mode, and I'll just go ahead and paste this out. You can see past events at this URL. And then back to sharing. Let's get back to sharing, and if you could, please, if you could, sign up for any opportunities to do user research. You can do this from the Zoom chat. One of the things it looks like these quarterly stores are great. Are they the only place ITOM stuff gets updated, or do you? Yeah, so Mike, most of the ITOM releases are through the store. There are a few things that do get released on family releases around service mapping, but a majority is through the store. And then where do I find the discovery customizations? Anonymous, those would be under, if we come in here, they would be under that customization check or the customing. So I don't want to have to log in real quick, but if you just come to workspace, the Discovery Admin Workspace, click on diagnostics, and then the support tools tab under diagnostics, then you can see where you can run a pattern customization check to see if a customization may be breaking a pattern similar to debug mode, and then to run that report to see which probes, sensors, classifiers, or patterns have been customized. You can see that in the customization report there. All right, that is, I'm a minute over, so I just wanted to thank everybody. And once again, we will make these available for you to, we'll be loading this up to the events on ServiceNow Live here. And then you can get the recording as well as the presentation that I presented here. All right, on that, I am going to go ahead and end this webinar. Thank you very much. Everybody have a great week, and we'll see you next time.